Welcome to Huddle 5, which is about the second loyalty principle, responsibility. Responsibility has two practices: discover and follow up. And we'll handle those in Huddles 6 and 7. I will be leading this huddle. Watch carefully because you might be leading the next huddle. Could I have a volunteer please read the definition of responsibility for us? Thank you, Garen.
Responsibility. Taking personal responsibility and owning the situation is essential to earning loyalty.
Taking personal responsibility and owning the situation is essential to earning loyalty. Who could explain this for us? Thank you.
If you are in the wrong on something and your credibility, if you don't own up to it, is not going to hold any weight with your team.
So owning up to a mistake is kind of
Right.
what you've just said. Thank you. I like that. Anybody else like to explain it? Yes, Josh.
I look at it from falling on the sword on behalf of maybe the company.
Oh, taking one for the team.
Yeah.
Good. So you're the leader and you're responsible. It's my team, and so it's
May
my.
not be, but
Yeah.
to the team,
You're going to own it.
You're gonna own it.
Good. Charles.
I think sometimes we're given a task that's not my department or not my responsibility, but still feeling it's my responsibility to make sure that that transfer happened, and versus saying, that's not my role, and just send them to somebody else.
I love that one, Charles. NMJ. It drives me crazy. Not my job. Well, that's not my job. Really? But if you make everything your job and you own it, that's taking responsibility. Thank you, Charles. Yes, Gerardo.
I really, really try hard not to start any session or any meeting saying, my bosses told me to do this, the company told me to do this, the CEO said I need to do this.
Yeah.
I take ownership of whatever decision anybody above me makes, and I let my staff know that it comes from me, maybe from everybody else, but I'm in line with it.
Man, do I love that. So I own it. I'm responsible. I'm not doing it or telling you to do it because the boss said to do it. Boy, that's a great concept. Let's watch a video called The Button. As you watch, ask yourself, have I ever seen a situation like this?
I'm starved. Let's get some tacos.
Welcome to Taco Platter, where every day is hot, hot, hot. Can I take your order?
Yeah, 3 tacos, 2 burritos, and a soda. You're a vegetarian. I'll mess up your order. I know it. You tell him.
Yeah, I'll have a soft taco, no meat, beans instead of the meat.
Yeah, there'll be an extra 25 cents for the extra beans.
Huh.
I don't want extra beans. I just want you to take the meat off the taco
Yeah,
and replace it with beans.
I know. I'm just charging you for the beans.
I don't want extra beans. I just want you to put beans on the taco in place of the meat.
Yeah, that'll be 25 cents more.
Listen,
Will that be all?
make me a soft taco, but with no meat. In place of the meat that you were going to put on my taco, put a scoop of beans. Does that work for you?
I don't have a button for that.
What?
All right, that's fine. We'll pay the extra 25 cents.
Oh, I'll give him some sense.
Please pull forward.
Who's ever encountered a situation like this? This is a real situation. We did not make this up. So has this thing ever happened to you, this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Anybody want to tell a story? Something similar? I literally had this happen to me with my brother-in-law and his wife. We went to a restaurant, she ordered the soup. They had 2 soups, tomato and vegetable. She asked for half and half, same price. And the guy at the register literally said he couldn't do it because he didn't have a button for that. It's shocking, okay? Please take out your responsibility practice card and turn to page 37 in your leader guide. Responsibility practice card. By contrast to the indifferent behavior we saw in the button video, what kind of responsible behavior did you see in the canyon video? Think about the contrast. How were they different?
Ultimately, Canyon went and sought out help, and he kind of took responsibility of the situation. He didn't run to his boss and say, hey, I can't do this, I can't communicate with this person. He went and he found a way to communicate with somebody, whereas the person in the video was just like, so you need to give me 25 cents for your beans.
Thanks, Louisa. Fernando.
Basically, Canyon made the button. He created the button.
He created the, I love the way you said that.
Yeah.
He didn't say, I don't have a button for deaf people. He created the button. Great way to look at it. That's a great way to look at it. So to shift thinking from indifference to responsibility, we're going to focus on two practices. Discover the real job to be done and follow up. Okay? So, because we're going to move from, it's not this, just give them what they ask, to discover the real job to be done. Give up, drop the ball, shrug it off, walk away. Please pull forward. Follow up to strengthen the relationship. Okay? Back of your card, go ahead, turn over your card now. I'd like you to read through those, and we're going to go through those questions. So go ahead, read through what's on the back of your card. So let's share. Anyone like to comment on some of these? For example, think of a time when someone took ownership for helping you with a problem. How did it make you feel? Yes, Gerardo.
Yeah, I was sharing with my other table. I had a problem with one of my cell phones, and I went to talk to one store. Literally, these stores there's two different T-Mobile stores across the street from each other. I went to one store, and the person behind the counter just wasn't interested in either dealing with the issue with my phone or dealing with helping. So I went to another store just across the street inside the mall, and it was a completely different experience. In turn, what happened is I ended up buying 2 new phones. So, there was a sale that was lost, but the other employee really took the time, really tried to fix the issue, listened to what I had to say, try to resolve it, and without ever really wanting, to push another phone on me. But the end result was I ended up getting a new phone because of that experience.
First guy wasn't focused on solving the problem at all.
Not at all. Not interested.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Think of when someone treated you and your problem with indifference. How did that make you feel? Yes, Charles.
So one of my pet peeves is when I go to a department store and I'll ask them, hey, do you have this? And a person's stocking or something like that. And they look and they say quickly, without even really looking at it, no, we don't have that. Then I make it my task to walk down all of the aisles and find it, and then walk over to the person and go, yes, you do, it's in aisle 13.
Yeah. How does it make you feel when they dismiss you like that? They blew you off. No, we don't have that. What were they really saying?
I don't have time to go.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to go look for it. That's your job. Beautiful. How can indifference destroy loyalty? How can indifference destroy loyalty? Dennis.
I can tell you that I would never return to that store anymore, or not just that store location, but any other location throughout the country.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't go there anymore.
Exactly.
I think when it comes to when you're in a work environment, if I go to you with a problem with one of our team members and you're just like, yeah, I can't talk to you right now, I'm going to do everything I can sometimes to bypass you because you didn't care the first time to help me get it done.
Exactly.
How am I going to rely on you to help me get things done in the future?
Yeah, I think of Charles's example in department stores. I know some I walk into, I feel like I have to light myself on fire to get waited on. And I avoid going there. It's exactly right. Last one. In what kind of situations is it really important to take ownership? Yes, Jessica.
I coach my team to take ownership in every single interaction. In your scope of life, it may not seem as important to you, but to your customer, it could be their entire world.
Exactly.
That's important.
Exactly. Okay. Could someone read this quote for us here at the bottom of the card? Can anyone see that? Yes, Leah.
Ownership, a commitment of the head, heart, and hands to fix the problem.
Thank you. Ownership, a commitment of the head, heart, and hands to fix the problem. Why does it take head, heart, and hands to create ownership? Yes, Ashley.
It takes all three. I mean, sometimes ownership is thinking outside the box. So you're thinking of what's the best solution for that person at that time. Empathizing, listening, that's the heart. And then actually getting out there and doing it for them. Getting it taken care of.
Ashley, you nailed it. That was a very insightful answer, that it takes all three. Head, getting outside the box. Heart, you care, some empathy, but that's still not, it's great, but it's inadequate. It still takes some hands to actually do something to fix it. Gerardo, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's easy. Some of us have the authority to just fix something. Use our hands, take care of it. Or use our authority, say, just get it done. And that's not going to create any loyalty. That's just going to show someone that I made something happen. But if I go in there with, I understand why it happened, I'm sorry for it, you know, I make sure it won't happen again, here's some type of compensation for it, whatever it takes, and let me physically fix it too.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, because it's really easy for someone to fix.
It is easy, and I'm going to warn you right now, as we already saw in the last huddle, we all go right here first. Don't forget those first two, head and heart. Somebody, I saw a hand back there, Charles.
So often I'll call in for support for something, and I can tell when somebody has a script and they're just reading it, so they have the head and they fix the problem, but there's no heart behind it. It's just it's not a personal interaction.
What's the danger with that? They fix the wrong problem.
I become passive too.
Exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't increase loyalty. You're not all of a sudden more loyalty to them.
For me, when I think about like the heart piece of it, when you have heart, you're building trust, and if you have trust, you'll have loyalty, and they'll give you permission to help fix whatever the problem is.
Good. Those are all great answers. I think you guys are really getting it now. Great answers. At this point, we report on commitments we've made, and we make new commitments. This would be a good time to think about what kind of a commitment could I make on this whole idea of responsibility. Be ready to report on your experience in the huddle next week at our next team huddle. And we'll have it a week from today, same time, same place. All right, we just finished huddle 5, responsibility. Any observations or questions? Good job. You're a great class.
Let's move to principle 2, responsibility. Sandy, what is the core idea here?
Well, responsibility is rooted in this idea of taking ownership. Yeah. You know, now that you've taken the time to really listen, to really understand the customer's problem and to own it personally, you know, to have enough empathy that you're willing to listen and understand it and take responsibility for it. And this is honestly one of the most powerful insights in this program.
I'm just getting into the shoes of a manager and frontline people. Is it really possible to do this with every customer, even when I'm busy with all sorts of responsibility and customers already?
Well, that's a great question, and that's one that I let the managers answer. Is it really possible? Because everybody's circumstance is different, and now they're starting to figure out, I need to adapt to the circumstances in my particular business. Yes, we need to take ownership for the problem, but the way in which we do that may vary from business to business and may vary from situation to situation. And this is where we start with the button video, which is hysterical.
The opposite of responsibility.
Polar opposite of responsibility.
He blames the buttons. I can't do it because I don't have a button.
And it gets a lot of laughs, but it helps them see that this applies. This principle of responsibility can apply in a fast food situation, or it can apply in something else at the other end of the spectrum, in a very high-end restaurant, or in whatever the situation might be. The principle applies. And this idea of getting balance between policies and employees or customers who've been made to feel like they have to follow the policies. There's no room for variance. Responsiveness. It's a serious issue how people choose to respond to a given situation. Careless frontline behaviors drive customers away. And when I say careless, I mean employees who hide behind the policy.
Because they don't care,
They
or
don't-
they don't know how to
Or
care.
they don't feel like they've got permission to care.
Yeah.
Or even managers who hide behind policies when they're dealing with their employees. Same principle. They don't feel like they've got permission to care, or they don't have the latitude to make an exception for an employee.
So if I own the responsibility, even if I have to say no to a customer, I can make a human connection, try to understand how they're feeling, and really talk with the person versus hiding behind something.
It's like Sandy said, if you own, if you make the human connection and then own the situation, take responsibility, that's when loyalty happens.
And it changes everything, how we work with each other and with our customers. Now, I've also noticed in the work session, our facilitator guide recommends that we commit about 45 minutes to each principle. Why is that?
We want to have space and time for very rich discussion. And there's just, these participants are sharing stories with each other.
This is when they start coming out.
Yeah, exactly. And as they're sharing their stories, they're owning this content, they're getting involved, and it just sets this wonderful, celebratory tone, and it allows everybody to get involved.
Is it possible that if not careful, we might always go over the 45 minutes, or does it work out to be just about right?
Well, this is why you all are going to have to keep an eye on this and check the schedule and bring them back to make sure that that we stay on time.
Yeah, because they all have stories, and this is where now they feel safe to bring those stories out, and they all want to share. And let me tell you about the time, and they come out. They really do.
That's great. A good problem to have as a facilitator.
It is a good problem
right?
to have.
Well, some of the great stories in the program came from stories they shared in some of the early tests we did.
That's great.
Exactly.
That's great.
Let's go on to the 2 responsibility practices: discover the real job to be done, and follow up to strengthen the relationship. I'm going to conduct this huddle. Watch so you can learn how to teach it as well. Welcome to Huddle 6. I'd like to invite someone to share a success story, a great customer service story, something that you'd like to tell the group. Anyone?
Is this one that we've done for
Yeah.
somebody or somebody's done for
Yeah,
us?
either way.
I was going to, my husband was stationed in North Carolina, and I was here in Arizona. And I had missed my flight because there was an accident. And one of the ladies from the airline that I was going on, she's like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for another ticket, and we're just going to have to, collect this money from you. And I was extremely frustrated, extremely sad. He was deploying, all those feelings that come with that emotion.
High emotion.
And it was everything in me not to just kind of like reach over the counter and say, please help me however you can. And I was very fortunate to have a young lady who was getting ready to get off of her shift. And she was sympathetic, so she pulled me over to the side, and she actually rebooked my flight without any charge. I had I had to go through Atlanta and then, back to North Carolina, but I got there in time, and there was no charge, and I got to see him off, and if it wasn't for her, I would have missed his deployment flight. So for me, when I get the chance, her name is Nikki.
Nikki.
And I'm booking the flight with Nikki. She's the one I go to. So
Let's give it up for Nikki. Thanks, Louisa, for sharing that story. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Someone who took responsibility. That was wonderful. How often does that happen with the airlines?
It's depending on the airline.
Yeah.
But she was getting off her shift, and she took me aside and helped me. So it's that diamond in the rough.
Beautiful story. Thank you. This huddle is about discovering the real job to be done when someone comes to you. Could be Louisa, who's got a problem with flights. Please take out your Discover practice card. Looks like this. And then turn to page 40 in your leader guide. We're now going to watch another video called The Car Charger.
So I walked into the phone store to buy a new car charger for my phone. My old one was acting weird. Sometimes it charged up really fast, and sometimes it didn't. Kess, the service person who met me, said, "Sure, we have a bunch of those. Step over here and I'll show you." The store was crazy busy, and I didn't really want to bother this guy for such a simple purchase, but he walked me over to the display. Then he looked up at me and asked, "Why do you want a new car charger?" I thought that was an odd question. To charge my phone in the car? But then he asked, "What's going on that makes you feel like getting a new car charger?" Well, I told him about my problem with the old charger. Then, Kess explained cars put out uneven voltage. The voltage can spike when you start the car or the AC starts up. So your charger might draw more or less power depending on the situation. Maybe you don't need a new car charger. Then I thought, maybe I really don't need a new car charger. But I bought one anyway. "Here's my business card," he said. "Please let me know if you have any more questions. I'll contact you in a couple of weeks to find out how the charger's working for you." And he did. Kess is no ordinary salesman. He's different. He figured out what my real problem was, and then he owned it. I've been telling this story for a while now. I've told it to all my friends. I've posted it on social media. Lots of people have already heard it. And now, you're hearing it.
Okay, interesting story. What was the real job to be done when he came into that store? What was he looking for?
He was looking for an answer to what's going on with this charger, I guess. Is that kind of what
Okay.
you're asking?
So what was the job to be done? What did the store person need to do? Jessica.
Was to help him to really understand how car chargers really work,
Okay.
and to understand if his is following that kind of a scenario, or does it really truly need to be replaced?
Those are both very insightful answers. You're exactly right. How did the worker discover the real job to be done?
By asking questions.
Asking questions, like Eric said. What kinds of questions?
What makes you think that you need a job?
Yeah, what makes you think? What I call those are open-ended questions. They're not yes/no answers. He was really trying to understand. What could he have done instead of discovering the real job to be done? Leticia.
A quick fix.
Could have what?
He could have done a quick fix.
A quick fix, which would have been what?
Oh, here's a car charger. This is the one you need.
Perfect.
Check
Car chargers are right there. What were you going to say, Gerardo?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sell him the car charger. If he had done that, what would have the result been? Yes, Ashley.
Probably would have had the same problem.
Same
So
problem.
then he comes back and then he's more irate because he's having the same issue.
He'd have come back ticked off. Irate. Thank you, better word. Yeah. So what was the real job to be done? Jessica and Gerardo both hit it earlier, and I want to make a point out of this. The real job to be done, what was it? It was to educate him. I don't think he even knew that when he walked in. The sales guy figured it out. He needed to educate him about how car chargers work. What was the irony? The irony to me was he bought the car charger anyway. I didn't expect that. But he got educated. I'm not sure he really believed the guy at first, but he was way, way loyal after because he got educated. And any of you who work on sales teams, I really believe this is a key to selling. Educate first. Don't try to necessarily sell. If you educate, people are going to feel empowered and loyal. And that's what this is about. Any other comments, questions about this? This is a pretty significant concept. Any other questions, observations? Yes, Gerardo.
Just I appreciate the follow-up too, because again, that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of talk, but the true character of that salesperson is he called in 2 weeks.
Yeah, who follows up with a call on a car charger? That was amazing. And that's a key point. So pull out your card and read through the front of the Discover practice card. Everybody got that? Go ahead, read through the front, each of you. Note to facilitators, that concept of the real job to be done, this is one of the more difficult concepts to get. This group got it right off. But the whole point here is that the job to be done with the car charger was to educate. And that's something that most people aren't going to see right off. So it's real important for you as a facilitator, bring that out in spades. Okay, thanks everybody. What do we mean by the real job to be done then? What does that phrase mean?
The need behind the need.
The need behind the need? Good, I like that. So it's something, sometimes, by that I think you're implying it's a little bit hidden sometimes.
Oh yeah, I need a new car charger.
Yeah.
Why do you need a new car charger?
Exactly. Very well said.
Understand, therefore, then I can educate you. Maybe you don't.
I like that, Josh. Leah.
And when you said educate, it's also educating yourself as opposed to just them.
Oh, I like that. You're educating yourself about what the real need is. Okay, good.
The root.
The root.
The root of the problem, the scenario, why does he need the car charger? Like, you're looking for that root of what's stemming.
Thank you. How is that different than the job we usually do or the job we typically see done? What do we typically see? I think was what you said, Leticia. What? Just selling the car charger?
Just the quick fix.
Karen? The quick fix.
What Leticia said, just the quick fix. They're right there, and they'll bring you out right there.
Yeah. Charles, were you saying something?
I often see that the service I get is based on the commission that they get.
Yes.
So what's our profit margin on that one? That's how much service I'm going to give you.
And you as a customer, can't you usually see real quick who's on commission? Yeah. Because they're selling you. They're not educating you. You can tell real quick. And it doesn't increase your loyalty nor your incentive to buy. I will tell you that. Yes.
It's the what's in it for me versus what
Thank
can I
you.
do it for you.
Beautiful. Like that. Have you seen any of the opposites of what we've been talking about today? We talked a little bit about this, counterfeits, to really trying to educate. It's the quick fix, I think, that we were talking about. Anybody seen any counterfeits or opposites of this that they'd like to share?
You know, I think we were kind of talking about that sales, that sales has a bad reputation.
Okay.
A lot of people have this misconception or this conception of what a salesperson is. So I think the opposite would be someone that would maybe try to act like they're interested, but you just know that there's that money sign in the back of their head. Yeah. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, but to me it seems like I can kind of see a counterfeit when I see it. I can see someone's not genuine.
Yeah, and I can see that too. I think it's maybe hard to think of an example, but when it's happening, you know it's happening. Right. That's your point. Yes, Josh.
I think sometimes, when you ask the waiter what's the best thing on the menu, and they point out the most expensive thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that really the best thing or your favorite thing on the menu, or are you looking to...
I think that's a perfect example, Josh. Or when I'm checking out at the grocery store and the cashier says, "Did you find everything?" I don't think she really wants to know the answer to that. Because I've tried it. I'll say no. And they're shocked. Now what do they do? So that's typical counterfeit. Let's learn the guidelines for discovering the job to be done. Please turn over the card. Let's talk about the first one. Be curious but not pushy. What does that mean? Yes.
Ask questions, but without trying to force the information out of them. Oh, was there like a particular situation? Oh, what happened? Or were they dissatisfied with it? Or did something come up and they didn't need it? Was, like it even says there, was it for a special occasion? Just the little questions.
Yeah, I like that. Just be curious, but honestly curious. Second one, ask for context. What does that mean?
Just ask a lot of questions to find out the true need. What do you really need done?
I used to work for a computer store. People come in all the time and say, "Hey, I need a new computer." "Oh, okay, well, they're right over here. Go ahead, pick one out." No, instead, well, tell me, what are you going to do with your computer? What would you like to do with your computer? Ask for context. There's a zillion things you can do with a computer. So ask for context. What's going on? Why? What are you trying to accomplish? Think about in the car charger story. Is this for a special occasion? Try to get some context. Lead with the need once the need is clear, all right? So kind of what you were talking about, Josh, what's the need behind the need? Lead with that need. Figure it out, and then lead with that. Oh, you're trying to get your charger your phone charge, let me explain a little bit about why that happens the way it does. So back to that education idea, all right? So which guideline of these stands out for you? Any of them that you think you could find more useful in your life, Ashley?
I think just asking for more context. I know from my personal experience going in and thinking that I need one product, and then after that person probes and asks me, well, what do you need it for? And when they sell me something that's actually cheaper, then I know that they're actually listening to my needs, and that creates the loyalty from me as a consumer.
Boy, I love the way you said that. That's perfect. That's exactly right. It reminds me of when I went into the emergency room, and I'm in great pain, and the first question they asked me is, do you have your insurance card? I mean, come on. How about some empathy? Or a question like, tell me what's going on. And then get to the insurance card. Yeah, I understand that. But the first question? Who on our team or elsewhere is a great example, in your opinion, of this principle, finding out what's going on, the real job to be done? Anybody, can you think of anybody that you know? Yes.
I work with Jess. She's really good at that. She'll take a customer's issue to heart. She'll be like, okay, if this happened to me, what would I want done?
Love it.
She does a great job of doing that. And then not only does she take care of it then, she'll follow up with the card member a month later saying, hey, is that still working out for you? And
what does that do for customer loyalty?
You hear that. It's
through the roof.
Exactly. And they've written letters to like the CEO, and it trickles down like, this is what they said about you.
Let's give it up for Jess. Okay. The quotation on the card explains in simple terms what it means to discover the real job to be done. Could I have a volunteer read that, please? Thank you, Gerardo.
It says, don't sell products and services to customers, but rather try to help people do their jobs and they really want done.
The job, they really want done. Thank you. That's exactly right. What does this quotation mean to your team? What could it mean, do you think? You get back to work tomorrow. What could this mean to your team? Yes,
This
Ticia.
can mean to see things in a different perspective for them. You know, how you're saying how it was numbers. Well, where do we get those numbers from? Our customers. And if they're not returning, what does that say about us? What are we doing?
Yeah, I like that. Yes, Leah.
I think a word to think of is about experience. So you want to sell an experience, and then in turn that's going to result in selling products and services.
I like that. I like that. Very good.